Frostbytes, a gaming podcast. It's been a minute, but finally, we are here again. My name's Cassie Mann, and I'm here with my lovely co-host, Spencer McPhee.
Hiya.
A.K.A. Caprio.
A.K.A. Young Eepy.
Young Eepy.
A.K.A. Lil Premier Ball. A.K.A. Lil Lantern.
A.K.A. Lil Lantern. You heard it here first, folks. Frostbytes.
Listen, it's been a minute and we're rusty, okay?
Yeah.
Please be nice. Please do not cyberbully us on youtube.com/Frostbytes Podcast. Please subscribe.
Please subscribe.
Thank you so much. How you
Thanks
doing?
for listening.
And thank you for listening also so much.
Yeah, thank you to
We
all of our
appreciate it.
lovely listeners who put up with our crazy shenanigans.
If we will shenan once, we will shenan again.
We sure will. What's new with you?
Not much. Been streaming a little bit less, but still I'm working on the Emerald Battle Tower.
Amazing.
Trying to get my last gold symbol.
Sweet.
And the Battle Tower has been cruel, I might say. Unfair, unjust, villainous, vile. More words come to mind.
Okay.
Anyway, but we're going to keep trying and basically bashing my head against the wall until we win.
Sweet.
Because the Battle Tower is full of a lot of... the Battle Tower will shenan again.
It sure will.
Yeah, it's out of control. And then I've been playing a lot of this game called Blueprints that I can get into it in a moment. But what have you been up to?
I have been a busy little music guy. Mm-hmm. I've been on the road. I was on tour with... actually, before that, I was in New York City.
Ooh.
Yeah. I went to New York to play at a festival with Braden Lamb and Loviet, and that was super cool. I went to Nintendo New York.
Nice.
And I can show everyone who's watching live later the fun little things that I got at
Cool.
Nintendo New York.
Yeah.
Because that was very exciting. I've been before. I went when I was in high school, but it was cool to go again and see it 10 years later.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's so funny. I also went a decade ago.
Yeah.
On a school trip.
Yeah, it was a school trip. So that was cool. And then I went on tour with my band Kids Losing Sleep, and we were just going around Eastern Canada, Ontario, Quebec, Nova Scotia, that kind of stuff.
Cool.
And that was super fun. And I got lots more shows coming up, and I haven't been streaming, unfortunately. Been very, very busy, but happy to be back doing the podcast today.
And you got more shows coming up?
Lots of shows coming up. I'm going to Newfoundland next week, and then I'm in Halifax, and then in Toronto, and then in Toronto again.
Yep.
And doing a bunch of things. Yeah. Keeping up with the music stuff. It's been fun.
Nice.
Doing all the stuff, but happy to have a moment to talk about gaming.
Yeah.
And the day that we are filming this is May 4th. Star Wars Day.
May the 4th be with you.
May the 4th be with you.
Thank you so much.
Also, we are celebrating Star Wars Day in my household a lot this weekend.
Nice.
Watching as much Star Wars as we can. Playing the new Fortnite update with lots of Star Wars stuff. Playing Jedi Survivor as well on the PS5.
Nice.
Taking a short break from our bouldering of the gates that we've been doing. I guess in terms of where have I been? Why am I not streaming as much? All my free time when I'm not at gigs is spent playing Baldur's Gate 3 with Shia, pretty much. So we're either playing Baldur's Gate or watching Drag Race.
Yeah.
Two very different ends of the
You're not doing one,
spectrum.
you're doing the other.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So we're actually almost through our campaign that we started together.
I thought you were going to say we're almost caught up with Drag Race.
Oh, we are also almost caught up with Drag Race.
Okay.
We're watching season 17 right now.
Sweet.
The finale was only a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
But we're behind. But we've okay, so this is a bit of a tangent, but last May, Shia and I went to go see Jimbo live in Halifax, and Shia had never watched Canada's Drag Race.
Okay.
And also was quite far behind on Drag Race as a whole.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, you haven't seen Jimbo on Drag Race. So like she didn't really understand what was going on. And so we started by watching all of the seasons of Canada's Drag Race that were out at the time. There's a new one that we haven't watched yet. But then after that, I was like, let's watch the original, like American Drag Race. Mm-hmm. And so an entire year later, we have almost watched all seasons. So that was, I think, 4 seasons of Canada's Drag Race and 17 seasons of American Drag Race. We haven't touched All Stars yet.
Oh wow,
that's next.
That's separate.
Yeah.
Okay.
We haven't touched All Stars yet, so lots of Drag Race.
Is there like a UK Drag Race?
There's also a UK Drag Race. There's like a bunch of different. Like I think there's.
Are you gonna do those ones too?
Probably not.
Okay.
Yeah. No offense to those ones.
Sure, but you know,
there's only so much Drag Race.
Yeah. No, I get you.
Yeah, but so I know All Stars 10 is starting soon.
Okay.
So we're like hopefully.
Is All Stars like the best of the best?
So All Stars is when they bring back queens from other seasons.
Right.
That didn't necessarily win.
Sure.
So not necessarily the best of the best, but like it's basically giving queens that were on the show already in a regular season another chance to like win. I mean, I feel like most queens that are on the show are like the best of the best in drag.
Yeah.
So yeah. I also saw that there's a new show. No, this is a gaming podcast or not a drag podcast.
Yeah, but it's also your podcast.
This is
like
true.
Go off.
This is fair. There's a new show that is going to be similar to Drag Race, it seems, but for drag kings.
Nice.
So that's cool.
That feels like overdue.
Way overdue.
Yeah.
Me and Shai were literally talking about that the other day. We're like, I wish there was a show for drag kings because obviously, like it's good for the drag queens to have a space. Would be cool if the drag kings did. Anyways, so yeah, Drag Race, Baldur's Gate, Jedi Survivor. Picked that up again yesterday. Still haven't finished it. Oh, I've also been playing Mario Wonder.
Nice.
Yeah,
What world?
I'm on World 7.
Okay.
Like the underground thing.
Yeah. Yep.
Is that World 7?
Yeah.
That's where I am right now.
Sweet.
I set my like travel Switch dock up in my bedroom.
Yeah.
And just like play it before bed sometimes.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's all the things I've been playing. Fortnite, Baldur's Gate, Jedi Survivor.
Nice.
Mario Wonder.
It sounds to me like you're like gaming again.
I am gaming again.
Nice.
I'm like gaming a lot. I think
like you're busy with shows, but also you're making time to like game for yourself.
Yeah, I think so. Part of the past few months, I've kind of realized like I'm a very busy person. I do a lot of things, and I set a lot of expectations for myself to do a lot of things. And a lot of people probably noticed I haven't been streaming as much. I haven't been posting YouTube videos or anything like that because I'm trying to like focus more on balance in my life.
Yeah.
And enjoying my life, doing things that can be relaxing. As much as I love streaming and making YouTube videos and stuff, it's still work. But I need to be doing more of the work that makes me money.
Yeah.
And less of the work that doesn't right now. And then spending time with my family and stuff when I'm not working.
Yeah.
So yeah, just overall just trying to balance my life better and been enjoying just like working and then playing my games casually.
Nice.
Hopefully I'll get back to doing the other stuff at some point, but right now in my life, that's what I need to do. So
nice. That sounds really good.
I'm happy to be enjoying gaming again.
Yeah.
Not that I wasn't before, but now it is just like, I'm just gaming for fun.
Yeah.
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 It's good.
That's great.
Good thing
and
to
like
do.
the stream, you have the stream and you can return to it whenever.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it's all about being like kind to yourself with like expectations.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really good. So we're going to talk about the Switch 2 and like pretty much everything surrounding the Switch 2, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Did you talked about what you were playing, right? You kind of did.
I mentioned Blueprints.
Yeah.
Yeah. So before we get into the Switch 2, if you don't mind.
I don't mind. Please,
Okay.
I want to hear about this.
All right. So this game.
We're going to talk about the Switch too.
We're going to talk about the Switch too.
But I need to hear what you've been playing besides the Emerald Battle Tower that's been destroying you.
Yeah, I've been playing a lot of Pokemon, but like I've also been playing this new game called Blueprints, and it came out about a month ago. It's on Steam, it's on PlayStation, and it's on Xbox Game Pass. If you have, I think like the maybe like the most expensive PlayStation subscription, then you can get Blueprints for free. I've
canceled all of my online subscriptions except for Switch.
Except for Switch Online. Yeah. I get that. But if you've got Game Pass, it's on there, or again, it's just on Steam. I'm surprised that this game isn't on Switch because I don't think it's like graphically
demanding.
Yeah, I don't think it's too much for the Switch to handle. So I'm wondering what's happening in the background for.
I've heard that Switch games, there's like a longer process of approval from Nintendo to get your games on the Switch, or also maybe because the Switch 2 is coming out in a month.
They might be waiting until the Switch 2.
Yeah, they might be waiting.
Yeah, but it feels like such a good fit for the Switch. It feels like a really nice game that you could like play in bed, on the couch, whatever. Sweet. Like if you have a Steam Deck, I feel like this would be a great Steam Deck game.
Great.
So the premise for Blueprints is you play as this 14-year-old boy named Simon P. Jones. Your great uncle, Herbert S. Sinclair, dies, and he leaves you in his will this giant manor with the stipulation that you will get to keep the manor as long as you can find room 46 in the manor. There are only, however, 45 rooms.
So it's a secret room.
There's a secret room, and there's only 45 rooms. So then room 46 is this secret final room for you to try to find in somehow, basically. So this is a puzzle game, and it is also a roguelite. So the way that the game is sort of framed or formatted is it has a day system. So you start a new day as like a new run. And when you go into the house, every room is just a square, and every wall in like the starting room has a door. And when you go up to a door to open it, you are presented with 3 options for what the room that you're about to go into could be. So you have to choose one of those 3 rooms to enter. That's called drafting. Okay? So you draft a bunch of rooms to try to make your way. When you start at the very beginning of the game, you have 2 existing rooms already. You have the entrance, which is where you start, and then at the northmost end of the house, you see like a floor plan in your menu, I guess, in your inventory, I guess.
Right.
You see a floor plan of the house that you're building, and at the northmost end, you see an antechamber. And so that sort of gives you like direction as to what you should be like moving towards as you play. And so you draft rooms and you try to make your way through the house. You have a variety of resources. So sometimes if you go to open a door, it'll be locked. So you need a key, and you find keys as you play.
Right.
Some rooms, in order to draft them, cost gems, which are just one of the resources, one of the currencies that you have available to you. So you need to find gems in order to be able to draft some rooms. The way that a run ends is you only have 50 steps every day, and you lose a step every time you enter a room. So it's not like 50 total steps. Like you can wander as much as you want, but every time you like...
You can only like move forward 50 times.
Every time you pass through a doorway. So even if you backtrack, you like through a doorway, then you also lose a step.
If you're like, you go one way and you go another way, and then you're like, oh, I actually need to go the other way. You go back, and then you go to the next door.
Then you lose steps. There are ways that you can regain steps, but yeah, you start at the very beginning with 50 steps. If you run out of steps for the day, that's your run for the day. If you draft rooms until sometimes you'll hit a dead end, and like the 3 options that you're presented with just like might not have another door for you to go through. Like there's a bunch of rooms that just are dead ends, like closets or like bedrooms that like only have one entrance or exit, right? Not every room is going to have multiple doors for you to like keep going. So then your run can also just end that way.
Right.
And then you just go next. There is no like, there's no race, there's no time limit. That's, I think, a big thing with this game is something about the way that the game kind of presents the days, and like at the very start that the game gives you the stipulation that you only get to keep the house if you find the last room. And because it is sort of framed in this, like, you start on day one, and something about that, I think, in something in like the lizard gamer brain tricks you into thinking that there is some sort of time limit.
Right.
There super is not. Okay. You could play for 1,000 days if you needed to, and if you still never find room 46, it's fine. Because inevitably, you found a bunch of other sick shit along the way.
And does that stay with you each day?
So the roguelite of it is that there are... So you gain knowledge. Mm-hmm. So there's like, I don't know, this like intangible, I guess, progression in that you learn things about the way that the house works or about the world, or there's like this crazy story that you get to unravel by way of like letters and journals and like newspaper clippings, but like no one is there. There's no other people. You are alone in this mansion. So no one is there to like tell you what the hell is going on. Right. You like slowly unravel the story. You figure it out yourself as like a half detective, half, I don't know, like anthropologist, I guess.
Right.
So there is the game of drafting rooms, trying to make your way through the house, trying to get to the antechamber. And then there's also like these kind of extracurricular puzzles that you'll uncover.
We love a puzzle.
As you make your way through the house. There are a bunch of like house-wide puzzles that only take place within specific rooms that I don't even want to mention any of them because like they're all sick, and figuring them out is like incredible. So the thing that has been incredible about this game, it's paced incredibly well. Like it introduces new concepts at good like intervals, and it once you feel like you have a grasp on how large the game is, it shatters that expectation and actually proves to you you're barely getting started. It's maybe one of the greatest games I've ever played. I know last year I was like a huge Balatro guy.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
I fear this year I'm going to be a big Blueprints guy, and I'm not going to shut up about it. I think the main difference...
Taking over Balatro's place?
Yeah. The thing about Balatro is like you can win a run. Like you can beat the boss with Anti-8, and then you can just keep going into Endless. And so Balatro is more of a true roguelike. Blueprints, I have rolled credits in. Okay. So there is like a point that the game can end. However, I am also, like I said, just when you think the game is... Just when you think you have a sense of how large this game is, it shatters that expectation. And I am so excited to keep playing this game post credits to like keep kind of like uncovering and unraveling everything that it has to offer. Wow. So
it sounds like it's a big game that has lots of things that you can do, and hopefully it intrigues any of our listeners.
I've played for maybe 25 hours so far, and I could foresee getting into the hundreds easily. Wow. Yeah.
Okay. Is there any other games you've been playing besides that lately, or is that kind of the main thing besides Pokemon?
I played Monster Hunter Wilds.
Yeah, what do you think of that?
It was great. Yeah, I like did pretty much all of the content that was in that game after it launched, but it's still coming out with new updates, and inevitably it's probably going to see like
you're playing that on PC.
Yeah. Inevitably that one's going to get some amount of DLC, probably maybe next year. So that'll be a good time to return to it. But also, again, there's like free updates for that game where they add new monsters and stuff. Wilds is awesome. I think I still prefer Rise, but Wilds is still really good. Yeah.
Sweet.
So I think if you have Game Pass, definitely try Blueprint. Same thing if you have like the PlayStation
Plus.
PlayStation Plus. It might be like Plus and Now. Like if there's some sort of like combination
I don't think
subscription.
PlayStation Now exists.
Okay. I don't understand the PlayStation subscription model at all.
It's just like PlayStation Plus, and then there's like 3 different tiers.
Like Plus. I think it's whatever the most expensive one is. If you have that, then you have, I think, Blueprints for free. Or you can just get it on Steam. And again, if you have a Steam Deck, I think that this game suits the Steam Deck. And I have to assume once the Switch 2 comes out that this game will be an eShop game,
right?
Maybe like at launch for the Switch 2.
So maybe that's a good transition to start talking about the Switch 2, because this game is not on the Switch as of right now.
Correct.
And like I said before, it seems like there's a bit of a longer process for approval for getting games on the eShop, but maybe they're just waiting for the Switch 2.
Yeah.
Which comes out on June 5th.
June 5th. Yeah.
Crazy. That's like a month away.
Yeah. I know, we're almost there.
It's May 4th.
Yeah. May the 4th be with you.
And also with you.
And also with you.
So literally like, a month from tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. So we're talking about the Switch 2 now, a bit after like the main direct for it happened.
Yes.
And
the dust has settled.
And so now we can kind of look at everything maybe with a little less like hype one way or the other. You know what I mean?
I was excited to look at it with the hype, but I was busy.
And then that was tempered by anyway. But let's talk about like the things that are like exciting about it.
Of course.
So
lots of exciting things about the Switch 2.
So do you want to get into like specs, features, the things that it's adding?
So I guess the main things that the Switch 2 seems to offer is that, one, it's a better performing console. I've seen side-by-sides of footage from the Switch 2 versus the PS4 Pro, and the Switch 2 looked better.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's surprising.
That's super surprising, especially where it's essentially the same size as the regular Switch with a larger screen.
And it's performing better in handheld?
That I can't confirm whether it was handheld or not.
But on a TV.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm assuming it was docked because capturing the footage would probably be docked.
So true. Yeah, we don't have Switch portable capture cards yet.
Yeah. But hey, you never know. So that was pretty cool. Now, it is a bigger screen, but it is an LCD screen.
Right.
They are not doing the OLED screen, confirmed, but the LCD screen looks really good. And hopefully it won't be that much of a difference. Like my worry was like, once you go OLED, how are you going to go back to an LCD?
Right.
But if it's a higher quality panel, and it's also natively 1080, 1920 by 1080.
Yep.
Where the original Switch was only 720.
Right.
So hopefully, like I haven't seen it in person. We'll see how it compares to the OLED.
I think the caveat with the LCD screen is that they were kind of promoting HDR. Do you know what that is?
High dynamic range.
Okay. Does it just like make the whites whiter?
So, I guess if you think of like a camera, for example, like right now the background is all blown out.
Sure.
Because of the dynamic range is how much information it can like take in.
Okay.
So if there's high contrast, like black and white are like on either ends of the contrast scale.
Because the thing about the OLED is that the blacks are like deeper, or like the blacks are blacker.
Yeah.
Or
So
something?
the way the OLED works is that all the LED pixels are individual instead of like all together.
Okay.
And so when there's black on a screen, that pixel is just turned off. Instead of
so then it's like true black?
Yes.
Okay.
Instead of like a LCD screen,
right.
Or is like, it's not off because it still has to be on.
Some amount of light.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
So then it's like a dark gray, but
exactly.
Sure. But this sounds like minute, but you genuinely notice.
Yes, you do. And so HDR, like if you think of like this is your contrast scale, like normal would be like this amount, and then HDR will like
increase that
a bit. Yeah.
Okay.
So like the range of brightness and darkness is greater on something that's HDR.
Okay.
And like that's, you know, you'll see a lot of phone cameras now will have like HDR and stuff because it's higher dynamic range. It can capture more information.
And it's like a software based enhancement. Or am I wrong about that?
I think it is a software thing.
Okay.
I think
Sorry.
I am stumped now. Is HDR? I'm going to say it is software.
Okay.
But I could be wrong. It's probably a combination of hardware and software.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
My brain just glitched for a second. Yes, of course, HDR is different whether it's for a camera or a screen or anything, but it's still...
similar like idea.
Yeah, still similar. Okay. It means that there's more dynamic range. It can show, like for a screen, it's going to show darker blacks, whiter whites, more information.
So the combination of the Switch 2 screen being 1080p and still be like an LCD screen, but now with HDR, it is still going to look nicer than the Switch.
The original
handheld.
Switch, of course.
Yeah.
Still don't know what
compared to maybe the Switch like OLED, maybe not so much.
But I guess another thing with this new screen is that it's up to 120 frames per second.
Yeah.
So that's huge because the original Switch is 30. So that's a big jump. And a lot of gamers are going to appreciate that because that was one of the biggest issues with the Switch was that people are like, oh, the frame rate is blah, 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 which part of that's a hardware thing, but also like your eyeballs could only take in 30 because it was only able to capture that.
Yeah, and if you're used to 60 on some other console or something.
Well, like most phones have up to 120 now. Like most gaming monitors and stuff have that. So
by comparison, the Switch 1 being locked at 30 is going to be noticeable.
Probably. Although technically our eyeballs, I'm pretty sure, only can see 30, but you can still see the difference.
Sure.
Right? Obviously, people play at high frame rates all the time. So that's really nice. And I think it's a variable refresh rate as well. So that means that it's not consistently 120.
Okay.
It means that it will vary depending on the performance of the game.
Right.
That kind of stuff. Like it'll adapt to whatever you need it to. Like, other consoles will have options for performance mode versus like fidelity mode. Yeah. And I'm assuming the Switch will hopefully have that too.
It might be game specific because they had promoted that specifically for Metroid Prime 4, that it's going to have the performance versus the quality mode. So it might be game specific.
It might be,
but
which is fine.
Yeah.
But I mean, for me, I always prefer to play on quality mode. But I know some people prefer to play on performance. Some people want
frames,
and I don't care about frames. I mean, unless I'm playing Fortnite.
Even the quality mode, I think, is still going to be like 60 frames.
Oh yeah,
which is to me that's great.
That's awesome. I'm happy with quality mode is 30. I don't care really.
So I think I've seen a lot of comparisons for the Switch 2 being similar to like current like the Steam Deck or like the ROG Ally. Now, I think the thing there is that like the Switch 2 will probably in the next year, like after like a year after the Switch 2 comes out, will probably be surpassed by newer models of the Steam Deck and the ROG.
Which is
but like
what's
currently,
happen,
yeah. But I think like it is good at least that like the Switch 2 is going to be kind of at pace with everything out now.
Yes, and
in the portable sphere.
A lot of people when this came out, like the announcement came out of like all the specs and stuff, some people are still disappointed by what it's offering.
Damn.
But you need to remember that like
I don't know how you could be.
I know. I agree, but like I think people's expectations are too high often.
Sure.
Like you have to remember like the size of this thing.
Yeah.
Like people one of the things is the battery life.
Sure.
It's like 3 hours or so.
Right.
But if you want higher performance and better specs and all this stuff, it's going to take more to process them. So the battery's not going to be as good. And you want it to be the same size as the original Switch?
Yeah,
it's still the Switch 2 is still going to be smaller than the Steam Deck, smaller than the ROG Ally, it's going to be more portable, which is a huge thing for most consumers, which is what this Switch is for.
Yeah.
It's for families, for like more general gamers. If you want something that's more powerful and whatever, go get one of those other consoles.
Yeah.
You know? But I think people, just need to lower their expectations with stuff, because this is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah. The
storage is also bigger.
Storage is bigger, which is great.
I think so. The original Switch was 128.
64.
64. Mm-hmm. Right. I had a 128 SD card. Mm-hmm. This is what I had for added storage. But yeah, so 256 gigs is now the base storage that comes on the Switch 2. Mm-hmm. So I think there's just a lot of good things that are coming with this.
Yeah.
We haven't even talked about the Joy-Cons yet. We're still just talking about
the system
base
itself.
System.
Yeah. One other thing I want to mention that I think is very good is there are going to be 2 USB-C ports on the system itself, one on the bottom. So when it's docked, the one on the bottom will go into the dock, but there will still be one accessible on the top of the system itself. The dock for the Switch 2 on the side is still going to have 2 USB-A
it's amazing
ports, which is awesome, because specifically for the GameCube controller adapter requires both ports, and they're not leaving that in the past, thank God. And I was so happy to see that.
Yeah, that was really nice to see. It's good that they're thinking about future compatibility, but also
past.
Yeah, past, and like one of the things that I saw was that the old Joy-Cons and controllers are going to be compatible.
Nice.
With the Switch 2.
Yeah.
Although it is going to be missing the C button and it's not going to have some features.
Yeah. And to clarify, the old Joy-Cons won't be able to attach.
No, but
they'll be able to
use them.
Yes, as a Bluetooth controller.
Exactly. And so if you're playing a multiplayer game of some sort, or playing I guess probably more likely playing a Switch 1 game.
Yeah. Or like a Mario Party is a common one that uses multiple Joy-Cons. And thank God for that, because we have so many Joy-Cons.
Especially when there's the price that Joy-Cons are for the Switch 1 already, $90 Canadian is what Joy-Cons are. And so many people have so many Joy-Cons.
Particularly after the whole drift debacle.
Yes.
So
I guess that is one thing to kind of bring us into the Joy-Con world for a second. It seems like they're not using Hall effect sticks, which is kind of unfortunate.
Yeah.
We'll see how the drift is. Yeah. If there is drift. I'm sure that'll be relevant pretty quickly.
I think anecdotally, and this might just be because people haven't had them for as long. I think anecdotally people have said that the new pastel Joy-Cons, they haven't been experiencing drift on those ones, but also again, those are the newest release of Joy-Cons.
Yeah, maybe they figured something out.
Maybe people just haven't had them long enough to encounter drift yet.
Yeah.
I am hopeful that Nintendo learned their lesson, and hopefully these Joy-Cons, knock on wood, don't suck.
And look, I mean, it's not just a Nintendo issue, to be clear. I know friends whose PlayStation 5 controllers have drifted.
Yeah.
I have an Xbox controller that's drifting.
Yeah, when I still worked at the game store, we had so many returns for drift.
Yeah. And not everyone is as handy and doesn't tinker as much as I do.
Sure.
So when they drift, I'm just okay, I'll just replace the joystick.
Right.
But not everyone does that.
Yeah, people don't know how to do that.
But if anyone has a joystick that needs replacing, hit me up.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So the Joy-Con 2 itself, do you want to talk about that?
So, I mean, the biggest feature, I guess, is the C button, which is for chat.
Yeah.
The new game chat feature is basically Nintendo Discord.
Yeah.
Which I guess is also a software thing, but there's a button specifically for it on the Joy-Cons, and the mouse feature.
Yeah.
Which is going to be very interesting for a lot of games. My question is for me, what concerns me about the mouse feature is that a lot of people play the Switch sitting on your couch.
Right.
Or not at a desk.
Yeah.
So
what surface are you using?
Yeah. Do you need a surface, or are you literally just going to turn your hands the other way? And there's certain games that use exclusively that feature. That, I don't remember what it's called, but there's one where you're in wheelchair kind of...
The wheelchair basketball one?
Wheelchair basketball one.
Drag and...
Dragon Drive?
Dragon Drive.
Is that what it is?
That sounds real.
Sounds like maybe that's what it is. But that one is like you're using both of them in mouse mode. Mm-hmm. But also for like games like Fortnite and stuff will probably be a lot better on the Switch, especially if you can use mouse mode for it.
Yeah, depending on how the mouse I am like incredibly curious to like try it and see how it feels because it's like, you know, I think it's natural to like be worried about like what surface is it, like if I can use it, like I don't know, if I'm sitting on a couch, can I use it on my leg? That might be fine. It might feel weird. I don't know. Yeah. But I think something that when people got hands-on experience with the Switch 2, they did an event, I think in New York.
They have done them all over the world.
Okay.
Now the Nintendo or the Toronto one was last weekend, I think, 2 weekends ago.
So I think some people who've had hands-on experience have reported that like when they played Metroid Prime 4, for instance, and you turn it on its side, for one thing, it like automatically knows.
Yeah.
So like you don't need to like go into a menu to like change your control type or something. It just like you turn it on its side and suddenly you're using mouse mode. So that's cool.
That's really
the thing that is weird, I think, is that like the clicking with like one of the trigger buttons, I think is like a strange sensation. And then still using the joystick on its side, like because you're both using the mouse and I think for some stuff you're still using like your thumb on the joystick but like turned. So that could be strange as like using...
where are some Joy-Cons? I want to see what this feels like.
Just sort of like give it a try.
I got some here somewhere.
Yeah. Okay, Cassie's on a mission to go snag a Joy-Con right quick. So yeah, it'll be interesting. And then you're right, like mouse games like Fortnite or I don't know how many people play Apex Legends on their Switch. It exists, but I don't know if there's a thriving community there or what. But yeah, I guess. But even like not even like shooters, like games that just control, like Balatro even with a mouse would be more enjoyable to control.
Okay, so specifically the right hand.
Yeah.
If the joystick was up higher,
it would be not that bad.
I think it would be fine, but it is in a bit of a weird spot.
Totally.
Now, I don't have the rails on these because whoever uses those.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, you're probably going to have to with the Switch 2, I guess. But, like the left hand feels better. But I'm right-handed, so I would probably want to use this. But it's not like, overly weird.
Right.
I wonder if you get to pick which of the trigger buttons you use.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be funny if, like, R1 was left click and R2 was right click. But they might not do that because
I don't know if you want to try it in mouse mode.
A little too much like overlap there.
Yeah, there's I mean, they are going to be bigger Joy-Cons. They're going to be a bit bigger.
And then, yeah, I assume like because this is so thin, I assume like maybe the balance on the Joy-Con 2 with the rails attached might be a little bit better.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Is like the rails will probably give it some width.
Sure.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
That is interesting.
Yeah, I'm very interested because it's hard to talk about when we haven't actually like tried it. Yes. We can only base it on like, other people's experiences and our assumptions, I guess. But it's an interesting idea. I know there's a lot of cope from Pokemon fans. The Pokemon Ranger could potentially make a comeback, and you can use it in mouse mode to draw circles.
Oh, that sounds fun.
So we'll see if that ends up being reality. Yeah.
Okay. Well.
And for what it's worth too, on their side, they're making the R1 and R2. The R1 and L1 buttons.
SL and SR?
SR and SL, I guess, on the Joy-Con. They're making those a lot bigger.
Yes.
On the Joy-Con.
I mean, definitely one of the biggest complaints about playing with a Joy-Con sideways is that it's too small.
Too small, but also those buttons are like so small.
So small. And no one uses the rails. So everyone's like...
It's true, yeah. No one wants to keep those rails like on them.
Well, because it's ruins the convenience of...
Right.
The Switch.
Yes, keeping those like strap thingies.
Yeah,
on
I don't keep those straps with me.
Don't keep that thing on you.
I don't.
Those things.
Okay, let's go back and talk about the Or we can finish talking about the Joy-Con if you want. But I want to get back to talking about...
I don't really have... I think we covered them.
Yeah, it seems like they're Joy-Cons. They're like essentially the same. Just
I think the colors are boring.
Yeah.
That's all.
I do like that. I do like the black.
Okay.
But I'm surprised that, one, there isn't a color option of like the shell.
Yep.
And also, I think the color around the joystick is strange. I understand keeping the theme of like the red and blue.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was necessary.
Yeah. Okay.
That's my thoughts on that. But yeah, besides that, they're like pretty much just regular Joy-Cons. Most of the same features, plus the C button, the mouse functions, and they're a bit bigger.
Yeah. Hopefully they'll be more comfortable.
And they're, I guess, yeah, hopefully. Well, because they're bigger, hopefully that'll mean that. And I guess they're magnetic now.
That's the other thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am curious to see, like, when the Joy-Con is not attached to the system itself, and like if the system is docked, the two things that like poke out that the Joy-Con's like attached to are just going to be like exposed to the world. You know what I mean? Those like
on the actual system.
Yeah.
And well, so they're like indented.
They're indented, but it like the little like gold thingy in the middle is still going to be like poking out.
It's not going to be poking past the
edges, though, but it's still, all I mean is just like to dust and stuff.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
I
like the gold contacts.
Yeah. I assume because like I assume they would have tested this to some extent, and like it's probably fine. It's just like a weird thing for that part of it to be exposed. That's all.
That's true. I'm trying to think if there's like anything that it's like I guess like the only thing that I can think of is like a USB or like a phone charger thing. Like essentially like if you look at the bottom of your phone and like you see like there's like the little, at least for USB-C, there's like a little middle thing, and like, that's exactly what it's going to be like.
Right.
So it is going to be, but the hole is bigger because the whole Joy-Con has to go in it. So that is interesting.
It is just like more exposed, I guess. I don't know, but
yeah, we'll see.
I assume it's fine.
How many of those break?
Yeah. Well, I know
there's some child somewhere.
when some people had hands-on experience with them. I think Wood. Yes, thank you. He tried his hardest to like rip the Joy-Con out without like undoing the lock. He just was like just to test how like tough the magnet was, which is I think the first good thing that he's done in a few years now is that test actually. Thank you, Wood, for your service. Anyway, so that was interesting to see that like okay, they are going to be pretty strong.
Yeah, and it is like it's an electromagnetic connection, which I personally have concerns about because of my pacemaker.
Oh. And there could be interference?
For folks that don't know, I have a pacemaker. I've had one my entire life, and I'm not really supposed to be around magnets because it can mess it up. The one that I do have now technically is like MRI safe.
Okay.
But magnets are still a concern. Like even like the MagSafe on the back of my phone, I'm not supposed to like have too close to my heart.
Wow.
And same with the Switch. I'm assuming I won't. It's like
if you're like playing that in bed, right, you're like holding it. Yeah.
But I mean, like, you know, it is kind of like it's okay. Like I hold my phone here, but I remember when they first introduced MagSafe, like the pacemaker community was just like, oh gosh, what do we do? So it's like magnets are used a lot in a lot of things nowadays, but it is a concern for people with pacemakers which is like scary. Luckily, like our technology, like the pacemaker technology is obviously getting better as well, but it can still mess things up. And like what it'll do is like, it can like interfere with it, and then the pacemaker won't sense properly, so that like if my heart is beating too slow, and it's around a magnet, like the pacemaker won't do what it's supposed to do. Right. So we'll see how that goes.
Okay.
I think it'll be fine. I'm sure they're not that strong.
Yeah.
But like,
do you think Nintendo would have done testing around that?
Maybe. I mean, we'll see once what the like health and safety stuff says in it, because sometimes it'll say like, be careful around pacemakers and stuff.
Right.
And I'm sure there will be tests in the pacemaker community eventually. But that is kind of like the first thing that came to my mind when I heard about the magnets. I was like,
so probably wouldn't be a problem if you were playing it like docked on a TV.
No, definitely not.
But handheld, close to you.
Yeah, that's the only where I'm concerned. Because, like, especially where, like, the electromagnetic, the way that it works, from my understanding at least, is when they're connected, that's when the electromagnetic current is active. When it's, after you undo the switch on the back of the Joy-Con and pull them out, the electromagnetic gets turned off.
Okay.
So then it shouldn't be an issue. So it is kind of when when it's in handheld mode that would be most concerning to me. If anyone has any information on this or anything, please let me know. But yeah, it sucks sometimes, but I'm sure it'll be okay.
Okay.
I'm sure it's not that big of a deal, but it is a concern.
Yeah, something worth being worried about.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's other people that are worried about it. It's probably fine.
Well, okay. Do you think we covered everything, like specs wise, feature wise?
There's one other thing I wanted to talk about.
Okay, cool.
Docked.
Yeah.
The Switch 2 is going to be 4K.
Ooh, that's true. I had
handheld 1080p.
Yeah.
Docked 4K.
I was not expecting that for the Switch 2.
Neither was I. Now, at 4K, it's only going to be 60 FPS, not 120.
Right.
But if you want 120 frames, you can go down to 1440p or 1080 to get the 120, which I think is very good. And docked also supports HDR.
Nice.
So I think that's good options, you know?
Do you have a 4K TV?
I do.
Nice.
I think it's 60 FPS.
Okay.
Maybe it's not.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a cheap TV. I bought it for like $300 on Black Friday. I do want to get a newer TV at some point, but it's fine. I think it'll be a noticeable difference. 1080 versus 4K. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have any displays that can do 4K, but that's fine. I mean, even like 1080 for me it'll still look great. Is great. And like frame rate for me is more important than resolution.
Yeah, that's fair. And also, I guess, like, because the fact that it can support 4K means the games are just going to have more pixel density. So even at 1080, it'll probably look better.
Yeah.
You know? At least it'll look like there's be more quality in terms of pixel resolution.
So specs wise, like it kind of it beat like my expectations, I guess, or exceeded my expectations, which is nice. So yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, there's a bunch of things that other like little things in terms of specs, like there's a microphone on the Switch, especially with the game chat thing. Like,
right.
You know, there's an internal microphone on the Switch, which apparently can pick up audio from pretty far away and has like active noise cancellation if there's like other sounds going on. So I'm interested to see how well that works.
Like how good it is.
Yeah, like obviously, you know, they developed a lot of software to help make it better, but it gives options for old DS games that you had to like blow it.
Yes, it does. It really does. Which is a really good point.
Yeah.
I'll be really interested to see if they do like a DS Switch Online. We would still need to have like the second screen and like the whole touchscreen thing.
But no, they probably won't do a Wii U thing. I was gonna say like maybe they could integrate some sort of compatibility, but I don't think so. I think
the thinking with that so far has been like I think if playing in handheld but casting something to the TV, so then you could still see. I
feel like the dock would have to be so much more intense though,
right?
If that was the case,
to be able to do that,
unfortunately.
So yeah, I could see them doing. Do you remember how like they put out the new Nintendo 3DS that could only play select games? So they could do something with the Switch 2, where they could put out like a Switch 2 OLED or something,
right?
And the dock maybe is a little bit beefed up, and then they put out the. Maybe
they very well
Wii U games or something. But I mean, they would have to. We got to get Wii we switch online before we see Wii U switch online.
Yeah, fair enough. That's fair. But I guess I just mean in terms of dual screen stuff for the DS.
For the DS in particular, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
Other things, just like quick things to talk about, is like the Switch 2 game carts are going to be red and also have like a similar functionality to the 3DS versus DS ones, where there's like a kind of like little bit of a difference that locks to make it so that you can't put a Switch 2 cart into a regular Switch. But they'll also accept normal Switch games in the same game slot. They're using new SD cards, which are only compatible with the Switch 2. So micro SD express cards. Instead of just like whatever.
Regular SD.
The regular micro SD cards.
Yeah. So got to get a new SD card.
Yeah.
Probably. It is nice at least at like I don't need to get a new SD card immediately.
Yes, because we have
the system itself is going to have 256,
which is huge. Like like I said, like my Switch has 128 gigs for an SD card and then the 64 normal, which like as someone who collects physical games, that's fine. We'll see how the future goes with this because of a thing I guess we'll probably get into soon about the physical games. Which I guess I think that's
pretty much it for the system itself.
I mean battery life might be the only other thing. It's relatively short, which I guess we talked about with, compared to other handhelds. Like, a lot of people seem that it's around 3 hours if you're playing a pretty intensive game. The website says 2 to 6.5 hours. But it depends on the games that you play and what your settings are, how your brightness is, that kind of stuff, which is pretty average for a lot of these more intense handhelds like the Steam Deck and stuff. So I think that's fine. I think in terms of the rest of like the physical specs, that pretty much nails it.
I didn't realize that they're calling the vibration HD Rumble 2.
I didn't either.
That's funny.
Well, it's the Joy-Con 2.
It is the Joy-Con 2, so it's got to be HD Rumble dose.
Yep. Pretty crazy stuff. Cool.
I think that's everything for the system itself. So
the base system. We didn't really talk about the new Pro controller.
Right.
We didn't talk about the camera.
Do you want to?
For a second.
Okay, go for it.
So there's a new camera that you can get. It's a separate add-on you have to pay extra for. And you can use it with games. It's kind of like a Xbox 360 Kinect, it seems.
A little bit.
In a way.
It's like a webcam on a stick.
Yeah, that costs $60.
Sure.
Or whatever it is. And you can use it with your game chat, your Nintendo Discord, to chat with your friends so they can see you. But you can also have it in games so that people can like see your reactions to stuff while you're playing certain games. Or there's some games where you use the camera as like a feature at like Kinect.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point that I hadn't. Like, I feel like a game like Just Dance could probably benefit from something like this.
Yeah, it seemed like there's like some Mario Party stuff that it used it for. Very gimmicky.
I'm not going to get it.
Neither am I.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
cool.
Nope.
The whole game chat thing, and you're right, the presentation of it really does just look like Discord, but on the Switch. It is like a great option, I think, for kids and for parents to not have to worry about their kids using alternative apps and stuff to talk to their friends.
Yeah.
If it's all going to live on the Switch, then that's probably like one less thing for like a nervous parent to worry about. And it's for everything to happen in the Switch ecosystem for a kid or for like a young teen or whatever, that makes sense and that is a good thing. For me, I'm still just going to be using Discord.
Yeah, me too. I doubt it'll happen, but maybe seeing as other consoles like PlayStation, Xbox have Discord integration, I'm hoping that the Switch 2 will incorporate some sort of Discord integration, but because of this game chat feature, I am highly doubtful.
Probably not, because you do still need to pay for Switch Online.
Yes.
To be able to use game chat.
Yeah.
And they're using this as like another feature for Switch Online. So they're not going to allow an alternative on their own system if this could be something that sells someone on a subscription.
Of course. And I mean, like, I would say that you wouldn't be able to use because if you don't have an online subscription, you can't use any of the online features, right? So if you buy a game that's online and you don't have the subscription, then you can't play online, right? So I feel like that's going to be the case with everyone. But yeah, I understand. You can also just use a regular webcam instead of the camera, the Nintendo camera.
As long as it's like USB-C?
I think it can be USB-A as well.
Just into the dock?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I could be wrong.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I heard that you can just use a regular webcam. But yeah, I mean, that whole feature will be interesting. It, like you said, it'll be good for like families and, you know, like I'll probably, if I use that feature, once I get a Switch 2, like it'll probably be very sparse. But it is better than the previous game chat option, which was using a separate app
on your phone. Yep.
That was terrible.
Yep.
And they are still doing this Nintendo app thing, but it's going to be different.
What is it now? They put out a new one?
So they have a new app that's like Nintendo News stuff. That's a whole separate thing. But then the Nintendo app, that like a Nintendo Switch app or whatever it's going to be called, is going to still work with your Switch in some way. I don't remember exactly all the details for it, but a lot of it's going to add additional things to some games.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if it'll even really be useful. Like, I don't know. You have your hands on a controller. You don't want to be having to pick up your phone and like look at that at the same time, but maybe there's a way you can make it work.
One of the examples I think is for Zelda games, like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Is it both of them or just one of them that they're adding this for? I don't remember.
I think it was both.
But they're adding...
For the upgraded versions.
Yeah, they're adding like achievements through the app, and also I think some way they're adding like a Google Maps.
Yeah, it's essentially a GPS.
Right. But for Zelda specifically.
Yeah. And I don't know what it'll do for other games as well, but yeah, that's one of the biggest things that they tried to I think again it's just kind of a gimmick.
And something else I think for taking notes while you're playing Zelda, which I don't know, to me it makes sense. Like I like take notes just in my notes app while I play a game sometimes. You know?
Fair enough.
If they want to like have that happen in their own app, then sure, there it is, the Zelda Notes. Yeah, so yeah, Zelda Notes, it's basically what it reminds me of is the Nook phone. Totally. But it's your actual phone. It's actually on your phone instead of like a menu in the game. Totally.
So it's just like different place to access menus.
Sure. I don't think it's like a bad thing.
No, I don't think so either. I just don't think a lot of people are going to use it.
Totally. Yeah, I get that.
But yeah, look, they even have here Nook Link, and it's just the Nook phone.
So when I was like playing New Horizons a bunch online, like during the pandemic, I was using Nook Link to type in game.
Yes.
Because you can actually use like the keyboard on your phone instead of typing in game. And so I could type like a lot faster in game.
Instead of, I would do that too, actually.
So I don't know, to me that was genuinely useful. So
yeah, maybe it'll be good. But yeah, I mean, that's essentially it. It seems like the Switch 2 is going to be good overall. There's still some Nintendo gimmicky kind of things,
of course,
which are expected.
Yeah,
it's Nintendo.
Weird Nintendo choices, absolutely.
But I think for the most part, like they have satisfied what people are looking for in terms of the Switch 2.
Yeah, I think we talked about this before, but like the initial reveal was like kind of boring, but it's also like what we want.
Yeah.
Just the same form factor, but better.
Exactly. And that's, I mean, I think that's what most Switch fans have been asking for. Like, we don't need another gimmick.
Yeah.
You know, we got some silly gimmicks. Yeah, they'll be fun to try once, and then they probably won't get used a whole lot.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
As is the case with a lot of systems.
Yes.
You know,
this is true.
you try the 3D on the 3DS a couple of times, and then you're like, okay, I'm probably just going to turn this Switch down for...
you know what? The first 3DS I got was like the original one, and it didn't have the 3D locking feature on it.
Okay.
The original one didn't, so the 3D would randomly turn on because if I like accidentally hit it.
Oh, yeah.
So I specifically sold my purple like original 3DS to get the new 3DS XL because I wanted the lock because I didn't want to use the 3D.
Wow. And that was that like before the 2DS existed? Maybe?
Yes.
Because it's funny that the 2DS was like, okay, people actually aren't using this feature at all.
I know, it's so funny.
Everything about the system itself and the games on it are awesome, but the 3D feature is pretty particularly.
Exactly. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes.
So I think that's everything for the system.
Yes.
So let's move on to...
Let's start talking games.
The video games.
Which is, you know, the biggest thing about Nintendo. I find, like, people often say, like, yeah, well, you know, the Switch isn't better than the PS5 or whatever, but most people are there for the games.
Absolutely.
So, do we want to talk about, like, launch games first?
I think there's 3 that come to mind for me, which are Mario Kart World, DK Bonanza, and Metroid Prime 4.
Yes.
Are you good with that?
Yeah.
Sweet.
So not necessarily launch games, but the biggest games that for the Switch 2.
World is the only launch game in that list. So let's talk about World first, because World is the one that I'm the most excited for sure.
Me too.
And that World is also going to be bundled with the Switch 2. They're selling the system on its own, but there's also this bundle where you can get Mario Kart technically for cheaper than if you bought it like loose.
Yeah.
Which is
but you're also, it's the digital version.
It's a digital version. I think so. I went mostly physical. I did a little bit of both. Like first party Nintendo for me was mostly physical, and I did a lot of like indie games, you know, digital on the Switch 1. For this, I think I've learned my lesson. I'm gonna go full digital on the Switch 2 because and one of my best friends I think was right when he was like, I'm going full digital for the Switch because the whole point is that it's portable and you want to have everything on the system with you at all times and not have to worry about changing out cartridges and stuff. The only exception for me would probably be like Pokemon games.
Right.
But otherwise, like everything else, I think I'm going to get digital.
I'm going to stay physical. I love collecting physical games. One, because I like to have the cases on my shelf, which I know is kind of crazy, but whatever.
I'm with you with that. I like seeing the collection, but I think the convenience aspect is too nice to pass up for me.
That's fair.
For this one.
The other main thing for me, and a whole reason why I love physical games in the first place, is often people will, when they're done with a game, they sell them for cheaper.
Totally.
And buying used games is a huge thing for me because, like, digitally, it's more rare that you're going to find games on sale.
Totally.
And we're going to talk about this later with the price of what these games are.
Yeah.
You're going to be paying full price for most of these games if you're buying digital, where like physical, I mean, if you're getting them on launch, you're going to be paying full price.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like, especially like, I guess, you know, when you buy a game physical, you're at least getting something physical with it, where if you're paying the same price for a digital game, it feels kind of like, ugh, I just spent $80 on a digital download thing. Like, I don't know. I see both sides of it. Of course, like, it makes it more portable for sure. Yeah. But for me, I still want the physical thing. Yeah, that's my main reasoning for kind of wanting to like switch. Pardon the pun. Switch 2, I guess. But yeah, so Mario Kart World. I don't know. It looks phenomenal. It looks so good. It looks like the best Mario Kart game. The funny thing about ever. 8 is you look at 8 and you're like, how could it look better? How could it be better than 8? Yeah. And then they they did this.
From what I can tell, like World actually is going to like satisfy both of those things. I'm very excited about 24 racers per race.
Yeah.
I'm excited about the knockout mode, you know?
Everything that this game is adding seems just so incredible. Like, so for those that don't know, the biggest thing about Mario Kart World is that not only are you racing with 24 players, you drive it's like an open world Mario Kart.
Yeah.
Essentially. You drive to the next race.
They did it.
They made an open world Mario Kart game. It looks huge. The map is ginormous.
I haven't seen this map yet.
Oh,
this is all of the connecting roads.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. You can drive wherever you want. There's like a free play mode where you can, or free roam. I don't remember what they called it, but you can, and there's like multiplayer. You can basically just like roam around with your friends in Mario Kart. You don't even have to do the races. You just get to chill.
Yeah.
You get to play as a cow. I'm so excited to play as the cow from Meadows.
And I was saying, so I did on stream, I did a Mario Sports Week. I played 4 different Mario Sports games. And by the end of the week, I was like, damn, I really miss when Nintendo was doing games where like the character roster in the games was like weird and low. And then that was before World was like the character roster for World was like shown.
And too.
World is arguably the weirdest, like funniest character roster they've maybe ever done.
To be fair, I mean, like, I think 8 had some weird characters, not off the top. Yeah. But like Animal Crossing players.
I agree with you that like they were
Wiggler.
Yeah. Well, Wiggler might have been in
was Wiggler in another one before?
A Mario Kart before. But certainly, yeah, with like Animal Crossing and Zelda characters and Splatoon characters, it felt like Mario Kart character-wise was going in the same direction as Smash Bros.
Yes.
And so everyone was sort of expecting the next Mario Kart to be like Mario Kart Smash,
right?
Effectively, where like you could race as like Ness and Pikachu and Captain Falcon in Mario Kart. People thought that might be the next direction. I'm glad that they went more in the Mario universe direction
me too.
and got like fucking dolphin, penguin, the fishbone, like so many like, you know, like enemies basically and like side characters. I think it's excellent. I'm glad that this is the direction they're going. And
super cool. Also, like, I didn't see those. There's new wheels.
The wheels.
Those silly little wheels. You know, I had the wheels for the Wii.
Oh yeah,
those were good. But I find the Joy-Con ones are too small.
Yeah, no, I don't think. There was something magical about the Wii ones.
Yeah.
Maybe this is my like childhood rose-colored glasses coming through.
I guess you also couldn't drive with the stick then. You had to do the motion controls, didn't you?
In Mario Kart Wii?
Yeah.
You could play with a nunchuck.
Yes. But like if you were just playing with just the Wii mode, you couldn't
use the D-pad,
yeah,
correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, there's so like this game looks so incredible. The like outfit change thing where you like eat different foods and it changes your clothes and gives you different abilities and stuff. That's crazy.
So the thing about that is I don't know for sure. It looks like the character select menu for this game might be pretty bloated because it might be like every costume for every character might be its own square.
Oh, really?
Rather than you choose like Mario and then you get like a drop down or something for all of the different outfits.
Oh, so you can do that too? It's not going to be just like the...
No. I think like all of the different outfits might be their own square and it might be like a giant character select menu.
That'll be annoying.
Yeah. It's like they're weirdly bad. Like I was playing Echoes of Wisdom and like choosing an echo in that game is just like one line.
I still have to play that game.
One horizontal line.
That's bad. That's the one, that's the case that it was in Tears of the Kingdom as well.
Yeah. And they're kind of making
those are just bad UI elements.
Which is weird for like that to be a problem or like a sour point.
You'd think that Nintendo would have
that
UI.
Shit like figured out.
Yeah.
It's surprising.
Very surprising.
Otherwise, I'm very excited for World. I like the new driving mechanics that they're adding. You can grind on rails.
Like, ride on walls and stuff.
You can wall you can ride on walls and you can wall jump off of walls. You can trick off of nothing. You can just do you
more
can hold
tricks you can do.
There's more tricks, but you can like you can just like jump and then like hold the button and then let go and do a trick and get a speed boost like on a straightaway.
Oh, I love that.
Which is great because I think a lot of this game driving from like track to track is going to have a lot of straightaways. And that's been, I think, a concern for particularly like Mario Kart heads.
Right.
Is that this game might actually be a little too simple. But I think there's going to be enough mechanically for anyone who like wants that. Like if you're if you're chill to just like drive, then
and it seems like that's like what they're adding with this whole, like, obviously there's different elements to the like world part of it where like you have to get to the next race in a certain amount of time versus like the
in the knockout mode, you mean?
Is that what it is? Maybe maybe it's the knockout mode.
Knockout mode, you need to, if you're below a certain place,
you get kicked out.
Yeah. Then it's kind of like an elimination.
Maybe it's not the knockout mode. I thought I saw something where it was like
you do
a certain amount of time, but I could be wrong.
In I think the Grand Prix, you do drive from like race to race, like in between. You do the in between. Yeah. Just like on roads, so it's kind of continuous in that way.
Yeah, but I thought you had to get to the next race in a certain amount of time, but I could be wrong.
Maybe.
But like it kind of makes it like a cozy kind of game in a way where if you're doing the free roam.
The free roam, totally.
Yeah. Which is cool. And like I think the courses look amazing and they're going to have enough features that like you don't need to have a bunch of stuff in them. I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of different little like secrets and things you can find in between the courses, but I don't think it needs to be this like huge thing in between if the courses themselves.
Totally.
Because like, you know, it's a Mario Kart game still.
Yep.
That's the part that you want to be focused on.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
Those are my thoughts.
Yeah. As a couple like returning modes, like the battle mode is still going to be here. And I'm hoping that like I guess like arenas for the battle mode are going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Do you remember when Mario Kart 8 came out on the Wii U?
No.
Do you remember its battle mode?
No.
So Mario Kart 8's battle mode initially on the Wii U just took place on like the tracks without any sort of like adjustment of the tracks.
Oh,
it's like last minute they decided to throw in battle mode, but not like in a space where battle mode made sense.
Right.
So then for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on Switch, they finally added like the arenas back, which was good. So I'm a little worried. Not that I play battle mode all the time, but I don't know. It is still like
it's
nice
fun sometimes.
Change of pace.
The balloon ones.
But yeah, I have a hunch that you'll be able to unlock a bunch of like the weird side characters by doing free roam.
Yeah.
And like finding them on the map, and maybe they'll have some sort of like challenge for you to do. And then if you do it, then they'll be like, okay, I'll race with you or whatever.
That's cool.
That's my hunch.
That'd be fun. I'm excited to also see like what they come up with in terms of like DLC and stuff.
Yeah.
Because Mario Kart, like there's a reason why this is the launch game.
Totally.
Right? Like Mario Kart is one of the best selling Nintendo thing. Like that's
Mario Kart 8 is one of the best selling games of all time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like if you talk to anyone who has a Switch, like they probably own Mario Kart or Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
Or Pokemon maybe.
Yeah.
You know?
Totally.
Like those, like it's such a huge game. They're going to be like we've played Mario Kart 8 for 10 plus years.
Yeah.
Like this is going to be huge.
Yeah.
It's going to be huge.
Yeah. It's going to persist for the duration of the Switch 2. Yeah. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And, we might be playing the Switch 2 for another 8 years.
Yeah.
Which is very exciting.
Yeah. But I'm very much looking forward to World. And again, it is bundled with the Switch 2, or at least that's one of the options.
One of the options. You can either get it standalone or with the bundle. Yeah. So
launch day, June 5th.
Which is honestly, it's a great deal. I think it's what, like $50 extra?
In Canada, I think the system on its own is $630, and then with the bundle is $700. After tax, the bundle comes to like $800, almost on the nose.
Wow. Okay, wait. I want to. Yeah, actually, I did look at the pre-order. And it was like I think I was looking at Best Buy maybe, and I think I just like wanted to humor myself, which we will also talk about this more, and just like put the Switch 2, the Pro Controller, and Mario Kart World in the cart.
Just see how much it was?
Just to see how much it was.
Sure.
And it was just under $1,000.
Yeah. Is the Pro Controller like 100 or like 100?
I think it's around like 129 or something like that. Here, I'm just going to pull up.
I mean, I've got my 8-bit do, and so like that's like that's like maybe my favorite controller.
109.
Okay. That's maybe my favorite controller ever. So like if that's going to work with the Switch 2, and it's just a Bluetooth controller, so it should.
It should. Yeah, you just want to have game chat, which if you're not going to use it anyways.
No.
Yeah, so this is
that case? Does that like an all?
It's an all-in-one carrying case
for like the dock and everything.
We'll put a picture up here,
and it's $110.
Yeah, but it looks like it's like leather. No, it's not. It's fabric. Yeah, this is expensive. It holds the dock, it holds the Switch, it holds the Pro Controller, it holds Joy-Cons, it holds... Actually, it looks like it holds 2 Pro Controllers, maybe? I don't know. Anyways, we'll talk about this all more... We'll talk about the games first, but it's...
Yeah, we'll get into that.
We'll get into that.
So game-wise, next up I think is Donkey Kong Bonanza.
Yes, which comes July 17th, which is Shia's birthday.
Aww. Happy birthday, Shia. We got you Donkey Kong Bonanza.
Yeah, Donkey Kong Bonanza. This game looks really good in my mind. Like, I think it, like, people were wondering if they were going to do a like Mario Odyssey 2 kind of thing. I think this kind of fulfills that in a way. A new 3D Donkey Kong. Also, like, since the Mario movie, it seems like Donkey Kong has been getting a bit more love. They redesigned him.
Yep.
He looks different now. It looks more like the Seth Rogen Donkey Kong.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yep. It is an interesting look. But the game looks really good, in my mind.
In Donkey Kong's,
I love those kind of games.
In Donkey Kong's history, he's almost been like redesigned by like Rare for Donkey Kong Country and also Donkey Kong 64. And now it almost feels like he's been redesigned by like Illumination.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or at least like, I don't know, kind of based on the movie version. Yeah, I think Bonanza looks cool. Don't get me wrong. It is not a priority for me.
Right.
Like, because of the prices of these games.
Yes.
Like, I think game purchases for the Switch 2, like first party purchases, I got to be a lot more choosy. And this game looks sick. I would love to play it, but not like...
And I think that's going to be an issue going forward with the Switch 2 for everybody is like, I'm in the exact same boat.
Yeah.
Where, I mean, maybe let's just get it out of the way right now.
Sure.
I don't have a Switch 2 pre-ordered because it's too expensive.
Yeah.
I'm going to wait because I can't afford it right now.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
And if I was going to get one on launch, it would just be with Mario Kart World. And as much as I would love to get the Zelda games and Donkey Kong and stuff, like, I'm in the same boat. I'm going to be a lot more choosy, and this is probably a game that I will find used down the road.
Yeah, it feels like less of a priority, which is a bummer because this is such a monumental...
It looks like a great game.
It looks great. It is a monumental game for Donkey Kong. It's just the timing and positioning of it is the unfortunate part.
Yes.
I'm like, no knocks against this game. I think it looks incredible. It's just like, what I just said basically is like, kind of my hang up with it.
And like the price of the Switch 2 right now, I paid that when the PS5 came out. I got the PS5 on launch. It was $629 plus a game plus an extra controller. Like, I bought like the headset and the like controller charger thing and whatever, and it was
the whole shebang. Yeah,
it was around the same amount. But that's not something I can do right now. So I unfortunately am not going to have a Switch 2 on launch that I know of right now, unless some miracle happens and I win the lottery.
I'm going to try to make it happen.
Yeah.
But I sold a couple things already to put sort of towards like a Switch 2 fund. Probably going to trade in my OG Switch towards it.
I guess that's the other thing is I have limited edition consoles and I
that you
do
don't
not
want to.
to sell.
So I've got like the Scarlet Violet OLED.
Yeah.
And I've got the BDSP Lite. So yeah, to that end, I don't want to lose those.
And I have the Zelda Lite
and
the Zelda.
I feel very I forgot this word the other day. It starts with an S. Like very not nostalgic, but like
sentimental.
Thank you so much. I feel very sentimental about my like OG Switch.
Yeah.
But there isn't. I don't touch it.
Yeah.
You know, like I tried playing like a second Animal Crossing New Horizons island that lasted less than a week. So that's probably not going to happen again.
So I think I sold my original Switch when I bought my OLED.
Right.
I sold it to my sister, so my sister has my original Switch now, which is cool. But yeah, I like already did that.
Yeah.
And that's I'm not doing that with my OLED. I'm keeping the OLED because I mean you can't really see it back there, but I have a collection of almost every Zelda console.
Yeah.
And I want to complete the collection someday, although the 3DSs are really difficult to get.
But I mean, I don't know. I feel like not far down the line for the Switch 2, there will be like a new Zelda game with a new Switch 2 Zelda version.
Yeah.
Right? So maybe, you can just hold out until then.
I don't know if I can hold out that long, but we'll see. I think like if I can't get it, I'm hoping I can get it in the first year. Yeah. Like my kind of goal is like if I'm not going to get it on launch, maybe I'll get it for Christmas. Totally. Kind of thing. But yeah, it's hard. I am also trying to like sell off stuff to see if I can make it happen, but I don't think it will. I tried to be like, oh, well, maybe I'll get it for my birthday, but anyways, I don't want to just be like a sad, like, I'm not getting the Switch 2 on launch, but like... But
that's kind of the reality. Like it is.
And that's the reality for everyone. And like for me, as someone who, at least like not that I'm special or anything, but like the last few years or last, like 5 or 6 years or whatever, I've been on top of getting stuff on launch because I get really excited about the community around it and like waiting in line for it and like getting to meet all these new gamers and stuff while you're like waiting in line, the hype around it and like getting to talk about it early, and that's just not happening this time, unfortunately. Well, you can come over. Thanks. And we can play Mario Kart World. Hell yeah. And it'll be a great time. Awesome. Okay. Sounds great. Cool. But who knows? We'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I just, I know we've been kind of avoiding that little bit piece for a bit, but it's very expensive and it's likely something that I've talked to a bunch of friends about it and they're just like, yeah, I'm not going to get it on launch. Yeah. I'm interested to see if something similar to what happened with the original 3DS happens again. Do you know the story? No. So the original 3DS launched at a price, I don't know, maybe like $350 or something, but it was too much. And then mere months after the launch, they reduced the price. And as a thank you / apology to early purchasers, they put out the 3DS Ambassador games. So that's a bunch of NES, Game Boy, and Game Boy Advance games. And the Game Boy Advance games in particular never came to the 3DS in any other format. Like they weren't on the 3DS eShop at any point. So 3DSs now with the Ambassador games on them are worth a bit more in hindsight. But at least at launch, yeah, the 3DS when it launched, it didn't really have any games. It had Ocarina of Time, It had Steel Diver. Yeah. It had, I think, Street Fighter 4, maybe. Okay. A handful of other games, but nothing super major until a little bit later in that first year for the 3DS. But yeah, it launched. I guess, that's what I'm also hoping for with the Switch is I need to remember yeah, the first year isn't necessarily the best time to get a console because they're still figuring out bugs and people are figuring out issues and that kind of stuff. It's probably better to wait. And there might be a price drop because that too. So that again, mere months after the 3DS launched, it dropped by $100. So yeah, and also just the general state of the world. Yeah. Might affect things. I'm not super well informed on all that, so I don't want to get into it, but anyway, time will tell. Time will tell. We'll figure it out. the games are also more expensive. In Canada, they're like 100 and something bucks.
I think Mario Kart's 110.
110.
Yeah, that might be our new like $80, like a full price.
Which is because like for people who don't know, like the Switch 1 games full price were what, $89.99?
79. Yeah.
Tears of the Kingdom was $89.
Tears of the Kingdom was 90. Yeah. And even when Tears of the Kingdom was 90, we were like, and now it's like, what do you mean?
That's before tax.
DK isn't going to be isn't going to be full price.
No,
I think DK is probably going to be 100.
I think we can look at it here. Yeah, 100. 100 for that.
But then Mario Kart World 110.
110.
Tears of the Kingdom
115.
Wow. Yeah.
Breath of the Wild.
Mario Party Jamboree with the expansion is also 115. Ooh, that's crazy. Kirby with the expansion.
Oh, yikes.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So it's gonna
expensive. Be tough. It's gonna be tough, and I think that's one of the biggest. Every time I watch a Switch 2, or like a Nintendo live stream about Switch 2 stuff, the entire comment section
chat
is drop the price.
And that was happening within the first couple of days after. Like, I think they did a Treehouse Live for a couple of days after that initial. I was
watching the Mario Kart Treehouse, I think, and that was exactly like that the entire time. But there's lots of good games that are going to be on this. Let's keep talking about the exciting things. You know, the price is. It's what it is for right now. We'll see what happens with that. Hopefully there will be a good little Black Friday sale that I can get my hands on.
So maybe real quick, handful of other games that we're excited about that they announced.
So other games, there's a new Hyrule Warriors. I'm super excited about that. I haven't even played the original Hyrule Warriors or any, but I've wanted to, and it's been like on my list of like Switch collection games to get. Very excited about this new one because it's around Tears of the Kingdom and is kind of like, it seems like it's the story of Zelda when she was like in the past with Rauru and all those like people, so like that's going to be really cool. Other things that I'm excited about, Metroid, the new Metroid game.
Metroid Prime 4.
Metroid Prime 4.
Yep.
Looks really sick. Now, I've actually never played a Metroid game before.
Either 2D or 3D?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've never played one, but I am very excited to try this.
Yeah.
And get into it. It's not something, it's something that I wanted to get into specifically on the Switch. But I just never did it yet.
So I thought for sure that they would remaster Prime 2 and Prime 3 on the Switch before Prime 4 came out because they started with Prime 1.
Yeah.
I assume Prime 1 was actually just like a primer, pardon the pun, to kind of like onboard people who didn't play the original trilogy on the GameCube and on the Wii into like what a Prime game is before Prime 4 comes out. So if they just end up doing one, that's totally fine. There are GameCube games coming to the Switch too.
Yes.
Via the Switch Online GameCube collection.
So
I imagine Prime 2 is going to be
part of that.
I think Prime 3 was a Wii game.
Okay.
I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah. I haven't played any of the Primes either, but I own Prime 1 and I would like to play it. But similarly to Donkey Kong Bonanza, I'm sure, like, you know, anyone who's like super stoked about Prime 4 who's been waiting for it for like a decade now, inevitably they're gonna get it day one. But another one that like unfortunately gotta be on the back burner a little bit.
I am kind of in the place where like whenever I do get a Switch 2, at least with the roster that's out right now or that we know of, it's probably going to be getting Mario Kart World, and then the next game I'll buy is, I mean, Hyrule Warriors would be sick, but also not a huge priority. Next one would be Legends ZA.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat probably. And then Kirby Air Riders.
Sequel to Kirby Air Ride.
Yeah. So, okay.
I don't care about this.
Oh my God, Cassie.
I know, I'm sorry. I know it's a huge deal.
It's a ginormous deal. It's insane. Because
Sakurai is...
Yeah, he's not... because like I was under the assumption
he,
that
retired.
Well, he might just be moving on from like Smash Brothers,
okay.
and he might like if there is a new Smash Bros in the future, which I think like Smash is such a giant thing that like inevitably there should be more Smashes in the future.
Yeah, hopefully.
But I assume for Smash, he's probably just going to move on to like an executive producer role.
Right.
But he is directing Kirby Air Riders, which is like his baby. Aside from Smash, like Kirby is his baby, and Kirby Air Ride for the GameCube was like particularly his baby, and it's so cool that he is coming back to make a new one of these.
Very, very cool. I appreciate it. Is it something I'm dying to play? No. Is it something I will try out if friends have it? Yes.
Yeah, cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Air Ride's like weird for what it is, but it's super sick. So yeah, I'm glad to see it making a return. Hopefully it's not 110. I hope it's like maybe like a DK Bonanza price or less.
Yeah, we'll see what it ends up being. But
yeah, I think that one's coming out 2026, I believe.
2025 it says.
Oh. I lied in cold blood.
When.
Okay, cool.
And Hyrule Warriors is winter 2025. So.
Okay. So then there's one other like first party game here that feels like
let's talk about this.
Yeah. So speaking of price, this one feels like it should just be free.
It
like,
sure does.
When you get your system, this should be something that allows you to play with your system.
So akin to the I guess Astro's Playroom.
Astro's Playroom is like a great
that came
like analog for
with
this,
the PlayStation 5 when it launched.
Yeah.
That was a game that showed you all of the features that the PS5 had.
Yeah.
Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour seems to be very similar. Except for the fact that it's going to cost you $10. Which isn't a huge price.
But there shouldn't be a price at all.
There shouldn't be a price on this.
Like,
it should be included.
Yeah. Like
you should be able to buy the Switch 2.
Yeah, it should be pre-downloaded.
And be able to play this pre-downloaded.
Yes.
So you can, it has cool features. You get to learn about the Switch 2 and different things. And it looks kind of fun. But it's not something I'm going to buy.
No.
It's something I would play if it was included.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, I completely agree. I hope this is something that like Reggie Fils-Aimé, if he was still there, would have pushed to make it free, because he pushed for Wii Sports to be the pack-in title on the Wii. Okay. Because I think initially Nintendo of Japan was going to charge for it.
Right.
Reggie was like, no, we need to have something that showcases what the system is capable of. Welcome Tour is a similar situation where like I think it is going to fully utilize like the Joy-Con 2 capabilities, HD Rumble 2, LOL, and a whole bunch of other like gyro stuff, and it's also they have mini games in there that like you have to tell the difference between like amounts of frame rate, which is funny, but
that's not a game people are going to buy.
The nature of what these games are meant to show you, and it's even like in the name of the thing, what the system does.
Yes.
Make it fucking free.
Yeah. It makes absolutely no sense that this costs anything. I understand that Nintendo needs to make money, but also...
They're doing so okay.
You will be fine if this is a free game.
This could be free. They would be fine.
They'd probably do better if it was free.
Yeah, because the negative press from this is not like, well, it's not nothing.
Any press is good press in some people's minds, but yeah, it's like no one's going to go out of their way to buy this game. And if you do, you're ridiculous.
Yeah. Maybe reviewers, I don't know.
And they'll only do it because they feel like they have to.
Well, yeah, they have to for their jobs, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll be a business expense. I don't know.
Oh, God.
Anyway, yeah, I don't even if this was $1, just like the principle of it costing anything is...
It makes no sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's everything first party. I think
so.
There is Drag X Drive or Dragon Drive or whatever.
Dragon Drive.
I don't know. Are you excited about that?
It looks kind of fun, but also
It is great representation.
Absolutely.
For folks in wheelchairs.
Yeah. 100%.
the game itself does not look very fun.
No.
And
it uses the most features.
Yeah.
Cool.
Feels similar to an ARMS situation.
It does. Yes.
But it looks really like bland and boring.
It looks bad. But the coolest part about it is that it's wheelchair basketball, and that's great.
But yeah, I don't know. As a game, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Not for me.
It would be cool if it was like a mini game.
Yeah, maybe.
Or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll see. We'll see. Maybe it'll be better than we think. But as of right now,
That's pretty much all the first party stuff. They showed a whole bunch of third party stuff. A huge one was the Duskbloods.
Yes.
Which is a FromSoft game that is going to be exclusive to the Switch 2. And I think a lot of FromSoft fans, particularly PC FromSoft fans, are not stoked about that.
Yeah.
But also, I guess this isn't going to be like a main this isn't like a like a Dark Souls 4 or like an Elden Ring 2 situation. Yeah. This feels like a spin-off for this Souls like, I don't know, franchise I guess.
We'll see how it is. I mean, it doesn't come out for like a year. It doesn't come out till 2026.
Yeah.
So there's time.
But even just seeing like FromSoft game exclusive to the Switch 2, that's pretty funny.
That's very funny.
Was not on my bingo card.
Nope. But I guess they do that so that they can showcase what the Switch 2 is capable
Absolutely.
of, right?
And they had a bunch of like Elden Ring is coming to the Switch 2.
Yeah. I guess, do we want to just like kind of quickly go over other games that are like coming to the Switch 2 eventually? We don't have dates for some of these.
Like rapid fire highlights. Anything that jumps out at you that you're excited about.
Hades 2, Split Fiction, which is a game that I'm excited to play with Shia at some point because we played It Takes Two, as a lot of people have. Great game. This is like from the same creators. The story looks really cool. I probably won't play it on Switch. I think I'll probably still play it on one of my other consoles. We got Street Fighter 6. Cyberpunk
2077.
I'm interested to see how that goes.
Yeah, I think a handful of people who had hands-on experience with that at some of the Switch 2 events. I think it still didn't run great.
Okay.
So it's here, just not the most ideal way to play Cyberpunk.
I think PC is the only ideal way to play Cyberpunk. I
think if you have a PlayStation 5,
okay,
I feel like Cyberpunk is going to be fine on that system.
Cool.
Yeah.
Silk Song coming eventually.
Yeah, that was so funny in the direct. They showed like 4 seconds of Silk Song, and everyone was like, "That's how we're gonna see new stuff about Silk Song." Is in like the rapid fire highlights.
Yep.
Anyway,
besides that, I mean, like
Final Fantasy VII Remake. Is coming to Switch 2.
That is huge.
And then a whole
Tony
bunch
Hawk Pro Skater, hell yeah.
Whole bunch of other games, but I think those are.
I forgot about all of these ones. Oh my gosh, Hogwarts Legacy, Enter the Gungeon 2.
Yeah,
there's a new 007 game.
That's crazy.
I'm excited about that. Elden Ring.
Yeah.
Civ 7.
Hitman series, Deltarune chapters 3 and 4 are going to be out on launch day on the Switch 2.
Star Wars Outlaws, which also has not great reviews, but I'm excited to play that on my PS5. I'm not going to play it on the Switch.
There's a sequel coming for Daemon X Machina, which fucking I super didn't expect.
Interesting that you can pre-order Fortnite, a free game.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
I am excited to see how Fortnite, it is good, free, how it runs on the Switch 2, because I think it's gonna be, because like everyone for the most part knows that Fortnite on the Switch sucks. I think they did kind of like be like, look, we're gonna do the Switch 2 Fortnite kind of stuff. Hopefully that'll be really good. And I mean, there's not a whole lot of other stuff that I'm really excited for.
Yeah.
That's kind of like it for me.
But it does seem like at least the first year of the Switch 2 is going to have a good selection.
Yeah, I think you're not going to just be playing Mario Kart.
Right.
You know? Which is good.
Yeah.
Because I think that is a lot of people's worries with a new console is like, okay, there's one game.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And for your existing Switch games, some of them will have free upgrades.
Yes.
Like Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, for instance, is going to have a free performance upgrade of some sort. And a handful of other Switch 1 games are getting that. But there are going to be paid upgrades.
Yes.
For some Switch 1 games, if we want to get into that right quick.
Yeah, so let's talk about these Switch 2 editions of games. I guess, yeah, we do want to talk about the paid ones. Where's the free ones, though? I'm trying to find the list of all the free upgrades.
I think like Mario Odyssey is getting a free upgrade. A handful of Switch 1 games are getting upgrades just to, like, I think like Game Maker's Garage or something is a game that like use the IR sensor.
Right.
So any games that use the IR sensor, that is gone.
Right, because the IR sensor is gone.
That is gone from the Switch 2 Joy-Cons. So I think they're updating some of the Switch 1 games to function without needing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think for the most part, a lot of the free upgrades, like particularly for Scarlet and Violet, I think it's just going to like, I think increase resolution and frame rate.
I hope so.
And that's kind of it.
It'll be interesting to see if games that don't have free upgrades perform better.
On the Switch 2?
On the Switch 2.
Yeah.
Because, like, yeah, how much of it is optimization versus hardware limitations?
Totally.
You know? That'll be interesting to see. There is also a bunch of games that have paid upgrades, like Mario Party Jamboree. There's specific Switch 2 editions. This has plus Jamboree TV, which is going to have a bunch of different features that are exclusive to the Switch 2. I actually didn't buy Super Mario Party Jamboree on the Switch 1, so this is one of the games that I would get on the Switch 2 because I don't have the Switch 1 version.
Right. So you just get like the all-in-one package.
Yeah, and then that would be the one that I have.
And then I would get like the expansion like separately.
Yeah, exactly. Ones that I honestly think should be free but are not are the Zelda ones. I love Zelda. I probably will end up buying these separately because I'm a Zelda nerd, but I'm mad that you have to pay extra, like $115 for Tears of the Kingdom Switch 2 edition.
And Breath of the Wild.
And then Breath of the Wild is $100 or whatever too, yeah.
For what I agree with you, they should be free, but for Switch Online subscribers, they are
included.
They're going to be included.
Right. Okay. That's
something.
That makes me feel better, but I want the physical versions.
I understand. So to me, like, you still have something to put on your shelf. It just isn't this specific edition. So like you can get the expansions digitally.
Yes.
For free with your Switch Online subscription.
Which is great. And you know what? The PS5 did that a lot. Because there was
the PS4 to PS5 upgrade.
Yes. Yeah. I had a lot of games that I initially bought on PS4, and then when the PS5 came out, they had free upgrades. This was Tony Hawk had one of those. Jedi Fallen Order had one of those. I think Spider-Man.
How much were those upgrades?
They were free.
They were free?
Yes. Oh. They were included. Yes, they were all free. From my understanding. I'm pretty sure they were all free.
Okay.
So yes, those were... I did have PlayStation Plus at the time. I don't know if that affected it or not. But there was upgrades for a lot of PS4 games. So it is similar to that. I forgot about the Nintendo Switch Online edition. So like that's good. That makes me feel better. But
it's something, but it's still not great.
Yes, I do still want to own the physical copies of these. Hopefully, maybe because I'll have the digital version the upgrades. Hopefully, that means that maybe this is like something I buy used down the road if I can find it.
Yeah,
we'll see.
And then some games are getting like DLC.
Yeah.
So,
crazy.
Kirby and the Forgotten Land is getting basically DLC, Star-Crossed World. So the game, like the base game itself, is going to be enhanced in some way, but it's also getting like new content.
Yes,
so that's cool.
Which is cool because they did that with the Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury,
right?
Because that was originally a Wii U game.
Yeah,
and I guess that's the same with like Mario Kart 8 versus Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So like it's not that they haven't done this before. It's just like...
But the Switch 2 editions aren't strictly performance or visual enhancements.
A lot of them are.
Sometimes it is also new content.
Yes, yeah. So like a lot of them, have the visual enhancements as well, but also have new content, which makes it seem like it's kind of how they're enticing people to do it.
Totally.
To get them more.
Yeah, it's closer to just like traditional DLC, I guess.
Yeah.
And then, so Pokemon Legends ZA is launching both as a Switch 1 game and a Switch 2 game.
Yes, and so the Switch 2 one's going to be better performance-wise. Yeah. And that's the same with Metroid Prime 4.
Yeah.
Also a Switch 1 and a Switch 2 launch.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting, like, if you buy ZA, if you buy the Switch 1 version for your Switch 2, like, is the game itself going to be, like, throttled almost by like being the Switch 1 version, even though it's on the new system? Or I don't know.
That's a good question. Something that we will have to find out eventually.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm probably just going to get the Switch 2 version.
Yeah.
And
I feel like that's probably the case for most people.
It is a bit of a bummer that it is going to be like a bit more money for effectively the same game.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Anyway, they've got me. Unfortunately.
I know. Because, I mean, again, like, it is very similar to what the PS4 to PS5 situation was.
Right.
Where, like, there was a lot of games, like Miles Morales came out on both the PS4 and the PS5 version. The PS5 version was better. Mm-hmm. But you couldn't upgrade the PS4 version for that one, I don't think.
Right.
So I think because it was out because that was a launch title.
Yeah.
That was a launch title.
Like that's an interesting point. Is like if you buy ZA, like if you don't get the Switch 2 at launch because you're waiting, but you still buy ZA for the Switch 1, and then later in life you get a Switch 2. Will you be able to upgrade your Switch 1 ZA, or are you gonna have to like buy the Switch 2 version separately?
We'll find out.
Hopefully the former.
Yes, hopefully. Hopefully, we'll see how this all works.
And then GameCube games.
Yes, so
GameCube
Nintendo Switch Online is going to have some more features. GameCube games are coming on launch, so that's very exciting.
Yeah.
Wind Waker is part of that.
Yep.
Which is finally I know for a long time I was talking about wanting Wind Waker and Twilight Princess on the Switch.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is why they were waiting. I'm hoping that down the road they're going to release Twilight Princess.
Totally.
Assuming that they're going to do that, seeing as they have.
Well, it is interesting that they have like the HD remake.
But this is not the HD remake
of Wind Waker that was on the Wii U, and like that I assume would be a better version of Wind Waker than what is coming to GameCube Switch Online.
Right.
So I hope we don't like lose out on a better version of that game. You know what I mean?
I have seen some people talk about like playing Wind Waker on like the test the experience, like the Switch 2 experience things.
Yeah.
And it seems like it still looks really good.
Okay.
Because the Switch 2 looks great. So I don't think it's missing out.
Did they change anything content-wise with the Wii U version of Wind Waker?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I do have it, but I haven't tested it out, so
gotcha.
We'll see.
And then, a handful of other GameCube games. So I think at launch there's going to be 3. Wind Waker, F-Zero GX, which I am over the moon.
I remember when I saw that, I was like, oh, Spencer's going to be so excited.
I am.
That was the GameCube game you wanted.
Yeah. Well, I was hoping maybe for like a remake or remaster of that, but I will certainly take this. And then with GX coming to Switch Online, every F-Zero game is going to be playable on Switch Online.
Oh.
So that's cool. You can experience the entire F-Zero
that's cool.
collection, the entire series if you have Switch Online.
Okay.
Using the various system collections. And then there's one other GameCube game. Soul Calibur 2.
I'm stoked about that.
Yeah.
I have like played so much Soul Calibur 2 in my youth. That is like a core memory game for me.
And that's going to have like
with Link,
but it's going to have online multiplayer,
which is so cool.
Which is great because you'll be able to play Soul Calibur 2 online.
I am very excited about Soul Calibur 2.
Yeah.
I love Soul Calibur 2.
Yeah.
Great game.
I love Yoshimitsu. So those are the 3 that are going to be available at launch. And then they showed the games that are going to be like coming to the GameCube collection over time. And that was an insane lineup of video games, Cassie. Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn, Chibi Robo, fucking Pokemon Coliseum, and XD Gale of Darkness.
Insane.
I
maybe
threw up. I couldn't believe it.
I hope you didn't get it on yourself.
I didn't. No.
Good.
I threw up metaphorically.
Oh, okay. Seeing that was insane. And I really hope that this means that the price of the physical games will come down a bit, because if you know at all, in the GameCube world right now, everything is very expensive. I think XD Darkness is like pushing $250 right now.
I would argue it's pushing $300.
Yeah. And like I know Twilight Princess is like $150 right now. Like, this is gonna help. So I think maybe it won't.
I hope. Yeah.
It's also, but even if it doesn't help the physicals, it at least gives people access.
Yes, access
which is really important.
Is the bigger thing.
We shouldn't
absolutely.
be gatekeeping video games.
Yeah, I'm so stoked to play F-Zero GX. I really want to go through actually like the entire series, and I guess I would end on F-Zero GX, but it's nice to have it like available.
Yeah, coming to a Caprio stream someday soon.
Yeah, might do like an F-Zero marathon or something. That would be fun.
Yeah,
but yeah, and I think like the games that they showed that are coming to GameCube, I think were very purposeful. Like,
yes,
Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn, really expensive game. The Pokemon's expensive. Chibi Robo expensive. And then they showed a handful of other just like classics. Like, I think they showed Luigi's Mansion. Here's the list here. Mario Sunshine. So Mario Sunshine no longer relegated to just Mario 3D All-Stars.
Yes,
which
true.
is awesome.
Which is very interesting. Super Mario Strikers. I've played so much of that game. So good. Luigi's Mansion. Yeah, they really didn't show.
And Luigi's Mansion being here means that 1, 2, and 3 are also going to be available on the Switch.
Yeah, that's cool.
Which is great. So I am hopeful that...
and there's the controller to get.
Yeah, with the C button.
The C button on the top, which is so funny.
Yeah.
We'll see. Like, I'll probably try and grab one of these if I can. We'll see how Smash players like this.
The new controller?
Yeah. Because I know, like... You know, I mean, I'm not a huge Smash player, but I know that like Smash players live for their GameCube controllers, right? And so we'll see if this new one is good.
Yeah,
if people are into it.
I think they've been really good about like recreating old controllers with these like new Switch Online versions.
Yeah,
I think they basically like feel more or less the same, if not improved.
That's good.
Like, I feel like the joystick on an N64 Switch Online controller would be better than an original N64 joystick. Handful of other things is virtual game cards. So you'll be able to share digital versions of games like with friends or family or whatever from one Switch to another. You can lend a game. I think it's automatically returned to you.
It is after 2 weeks.
After 2 weeks.
Which is kind of cool. It's like, that's a very cool feature.
I wish it was because then no one can just like take your game and hold it hostage for sure. But also like,
well, I think the virtual game card is a cool feature.
It's a great feature.
I don't think the 2 week return.
2 week, yeah.
I think maybe if you could select how long you want the return.
Just give some more like options for usability. But
because then, I know like I have games lended out to friends right now, and I'm just like, can I get that game back?
Totally,
still haven't got it back. So.
Yeah. But yeah, you're right. The option to share games virtually is excellent. And they're basically bringing DS Download Play back as well. Game Share, I believe they're calling it.
Yes.
I think they showed like with...
so cool.
Yeah, I think with Clubhouse games in particular, that's a game that like will really benefit from it.
This one's showing Super Mario 3D World.
Yep.
Which is interesting. And they say... Mario Jamboree and stuff you can do. So like it's back to a way where like if you have a multiplayer game, you only have to have one person that owns it. Yeah. Which is awesome. I have so many memories of playing Mario Kart DS.
Yes, yeah.
On
with
like
Download Play.
Yeah, with Download Play on the bus or something with friends. And like I never owned Mario Kart DS, but one of my friends did. And so that's how we played it.
Absolutely.
Now all we need is PictoChat and we got Game Chat.
We got Game Chat. We need PictoChat back.
We need PictoChat.
Yes. The DS era is I can feel it bubbling up.
You know what else we need? Nintendogs. Well, yes, a stylus.
Both.
But Nintendogs.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they did Nintendogs plus cats on the 3DS, so it'd be interesting if they did Nintendogs plus cats plus hamsters.
I forgot about Nintendogs plus cats.
No one played it. That's the thing, and that's probably why they haven't done it since. Is because they did plus cats, and no one gave a shit.
Yeah, I was like, I don't want a cat.
But original Nintendogs was awesome.
It was peak.
It was sick.
Yeah. Lots of cool things.
Did we get everything? I think we got all the highlights.
I think so.
I know we were kind of going fast towards the end there, but I think because we've kind of been going long. But
yeah. I think we got it all for the most part.
Are you excited about it?
I am excited. I am very excited about the Switch 2. I was so hyped watching the Direct when they like made all of these announcements and stuff. I thought it was really cool. I am sad that I'm not getting it on launch.
So the like whiplash of like watching that Direct, being excited about it, and then the come down of kind of realizing how expensive it's all going to be is so it's fascinating. Mm-hmm. It's a bummer.
It's a big bummer.
It's just a bummer because this is something that you want to be able to be excited about, and then there's this big asterisk on it.
Yeah, and it makes it like, you know, as much as Nintendo is making a lot of their things more accessible to people and making like, you know,
right, like the GameCube Switch Online collection is like a pro-consumer thing.
Yeah,
just it exists on an anti-consumer device.
Exactly, and like you know, like people, like families getting a Switch, like, you know, they again with like the game share and like the that kind of stuff, like the download share and virtual game card thing and stuff like those are all more accessible features, because I know, you know, a big thing for like families is like, okay, well, I don't want to have to buy 4 Switches for every kid in the family or whatever. Like now, like you can share, even I think even with like regular like Switch 1s and stuff.
Game share I don't think works from Switch 2 to Switch 1.
Oh, I thought it did. Oh, maybe it didn't.
Maybe the virtual game card.
The virtual game card. Maybe that's what it was.
I don't remember. I don't know the specifics.
There was game share. There's a Switch 1. There's a Switch 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that's fine.
That's good.
Virtual game cards also on all Switches.
On all Switches. Okay. Excellent.
What am I looking for?
So I was wrong. I'm a liar.
You're a liar.
Let it be known.
You're a liar. Then there's. Oh yeah. Okay. I see. Yeah. So like, yeah, they're making things more accessible in certain ways, and then the price is just like making it more difficult. So it's probably going to be more of like if a family gets a Switch 2, it's going to be like the Wii.
Right. More of a home console.
It's a home console for the family instead of everyone having their own kind of thing.
Until they come out with the Switch 2 Lite.
Exactly. But it's like, you know, it's a bigger hurdle. Like I know like a lot of, you know, people still don't have PS5s. They're like just getting PS5s now because of how expensive they were.
Yeah.
They still are expensive.
And it also feels like there isn't much of a jump, like graphically from one system to another. I think
graphically there's quite a difference, but it's probably
for the
not
Switch
enough.
And the Switch 2, but like for the 4 to the 5, I feel like that.
Oh, PS4 to PS5?
Yeah. That jump didn't feel as like substantial.
No, for some people it didn't. Yeah.
And honestly, even the Switch to the Switch 2, like it isn't like. I think you and I would notice differences. Yeah. Because we're I don't know, we're
gamers.
We're gamers. But I think like by and large, most people probably look at them side by side and go, that's the same thing. Yeah. Just one of them is,
of course,
like an arm and a leg.
And I'm sure Nintendo has been worried about that, especially with, you know, the Wii U.
I don't think this is going to be another Wii U situation. I think this is also going to be a successful console. I
have always said, like, at least I think I've always said that the Switch 2 is Nintendo's PlayStation. Right. You know, like the PlayStation was PS1, PS2, PS3, PS4, PS5. Right. You know, I'm hoping that now it's Switch 1, Switch 2, Switch 3, Switch 4. You know, like I hope, well, maybe not, but like at least they're just making the better version of what they already know they can do a good job of.
Right, because they found a winning form factor. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We'll see if that sticks.
And well, I mean, they're still experimenting because again, the whole mouse thing is like that's a weird Nintendo thing,
and they're always
categorically,
do that.
and yeah, in ways that we can't even fathom.
But they've nailed the hybrid console thing, right?
Yes.
Where like before there was the home consoles and there was the handheld consoles, and they were two different worlds, and different people played those things. And now it's all in one, and that's something that PlayStation, Xbox, even PC still doesn't have.
But now,
totally together.
When the Switch launched, it was its own thing as a hybrid console. Now there is a market of competition,
of course,
for the Switch too. There's the Steam Deck, there's the
Steam
ROG
Deck
Ally,
can be docked and stuff.
Yeah,
too, and like
they offer similar things.
They do.
So now Nintendo is almost back to but we have exclusives though.
Yes.
You know, where like before with the Switch, when it was new, it was like this new.
It was the only thing that did that.
It was the only thing that did that. Now it is kind of back to, well, other things do that, arguably better. So if you're going to get a Switch 2, it's probably going to be for your Mario, your Zelda, your Pokemon. Which
is honestly why I buy most consoles.
For the games.
Yeah. You know, like I bought a PS5 because Spider-Man was an exclusive game on the PS5.
Yeah.
I bought an Xbox because Fable 4 was an exclusive on there. And Starfield, which I guess you can also play on PC, but my PC couldn't handle that at the time.
Right.
You know, like I buy things for the exclusive games that come with it.
Yeah.
And then, you know, the handful of games that I want to play that are on everything, then I can pick.
You can pick and choose based on like your controller of choice. Depending on the game, if it wants a mouse or not.
But most games, like, because I am mostly a console player, like there's very few games that I play on PC because I like to be able to travel around with my games and stuff. Like that's my favorite thing about the Switch, you know, obviously, like, you know, I've contemplated getting a PlayStation Portal just so I could play my PlayStation a bit.
Yeah.
Without moving my PlayStation upstairs.
Totally.
You know? But like, yeah, like the exclusive games that come with these consoles are like most of the reason why I play. Those are most of the games I play. Like there's very few games that I play on the Switch that aren't Switch exclusive, like Nintendo first party games.
That's how Nintendo in particular lives and dies is by their games. And
I feel like that's almost always been the case, except for maybe
the Wii.
Maybe the GameCube Wii era.
The GameCube absolutely lived and died by its games because the system itself was not anything to write home about.
There was a lot of games that, like, you look back now and you're like, that was on the GameCube?
Right.
Or same with the Wii. You're like, that was on the Wii?
Right.
You know? Remember, it wasn't Call of Duty on the Wii?
Yep.
That's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
That's wild.
You point at the screen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's ridiculous.
So I think like I with my Switch 1, I like got a lot of like indie games digitally on that system.
I also play a lot of indie games on
And I think I have moved away from that and have now been getting a lot of indie games on PC, on Steam, where they're generally cheaper, they perform better, and I can still use my favorite controller. Luckily, my 8-bit 2 works on both the Switch and the PC, so that's great. So like I'm not choosing like a controller. At this point, I'm really just choosing like, do I want to play this sitting at my desk or like have the option to play it like
100%
laying down in bed?
And I am fully behind that as well. Like, I mean, I'm still almost exclusively playing Fortnite on my PC. I'm open to playing other things, like even like Baldur's Gate. Me and Shai have been playing on the Xbox. Shai got it on PC recently. I'm considering getting it on PC, but like I love consoles. Yeah, like I'm so much of a console gamer. Yeah, except for Fortnite.
Fair. Yeah, I mean Fortnite with a mouse.
It's just elite.
Can't beat it.
Yeah.
I think the Switch 2 for me is largely going to be like just first party stuff. Yeah. Unless there's a game that like makes sense to like have in a living room, you know, your Jackbox. Yeah. Your, I don't know, any other like
party kind of games. Yeah. You know? Like, and that's always kind of what the Switch has been for me. It's like, I have this to play first party games. Yeah. You know, like I have this because I want to play Zelda and I want to play Pokemon and I want to play Mario. I don't have it to play, you know, whatever else comes out on these consoles.
So I'm I'm excited for Mario Kart World. I'm excited for the GameCube collection.
Yep.
I hope. I gotta be real. I don't see it happening, but I hope there's some sort of price drop or sale on the system. Maybe the games go down by like $10.
Yeah,
is like best case scenario. I can maybe
this whole
see happening.
Tariff situation is causing a lot of issues with this, and like the pre-orders in Canada and the U.S. Well, I guess the U.S. and Canada is more of what I mean to say is like were affected by this. Like pre-orders were supposed to launch April something.
Right, like mid-April they got pushed a couple weeks.
Yeah, they got pushed.
Yeah.
I think So because of that, which sucks, but it's just the reality of the world we live in right now. Who knows what will happen down the road? We'll see how it goes. Hopefully we'll see some sort of decrease, or like, that's part of the cool thing about buying used is like you can get if like someone's like, never mind, I don't want this anymore, they'll sell it used for a bit cheaper. That's how I got my first Switch. Was I bought it used, and it came with Breath of the Wild and Let's Go Pikachu or Let's Go Eevee, and then I bought Sword on launch, and that was how I got into the Switch.
Nice. So
like that's what a lot of people will do is like some people that are early adopters will also be early quitters.
Yeah, that's a good point. They'll follow the hype initially. They'll get Mario Kart World. They'll get probably the bundle.
Yeah.
And then maybe they'll do that for a month and be like, I don't have anything else I want to play on this.
Yep. So we'll see. That could just like consider that if you're like, I can't buy this right away. Like, the used option is always a good route. That's how I get a lot of stuff. My Xbox I bought used, like my PlayStation I bought new on launch, and same with my OLED Zelda Switch. But besides that, like I try and get used as much as I can. Because one, it's good for the world, the earth, and stuff. Helps reduce waste, and saves money in my pocket. You know? So something to consider. But also, the Switch 2 looks great. Hopefully, we'll see some different prices. Hopefully we'll see it perform well. Hopefully people will enjoy it. I'm excited to see what people think once people get their hands on it, and I'll be coming over.
Yeah. So yeah, absolutely. You can come on over for Mario Kart World.
Yep. That'll be fun.
Yeah. Cool.
Overall, very excited for the Switch 2. Happy we got to finally talk about it. And yeah, I mean, do you have any last thoughts on the Switch 2?
Play Blueprints. Those are my final thoughts.
That's not a Switch 2.
Play Blueprints. It's maybe the greatest game ever.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. That's all that matters.
No, I think we covered everything with the Switch 2.
Yeah,
so at this point, it's a month away.
Yeah.
So yeah.
You know what? Actually, something I didn't mention, something I am excited about for me not getting the Switch 2 on launch is I am once again going to be forced to try and complete my backlog.
Ah. Okay. And so actually it all works out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is, I'm like, okay, I'm actually going to have time to not be with the hype and be playing my older games.
Yeah.
Which is good because I have a lot of them that need to be played.
You're playing Wonder.
I'm playing Wonder right now. I'm almost to the last world.
Nice.
I think.
Cool.
I found a secret world.
Nice.
And it's really hard.
Yeah.
So I gave up real quick.
Oh.
I'll keep trying.
Keep going.
I'll keep trying. But anyways,
nice.
Playing the backlog will be good. So if you're listening or watching, play your backlog.
Play your backlog.
Don't get into the hype. It's difficult. I want to be in the hype. But we got backlogs that are waiting for us. And that's the moral of the story.
Yeah.
I think.
My backlog is scary.
Yeah.
I don't even want to think about it.
Yeah, all the backlogs are terrifying. Paper Mario, haven't even touched it yet. Echoes of Wisdom, barely touched it. There's a lot of games that I gotta play. So hopefully this time I will use it wisely. Great.
All right. I think we did it. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to Frostbytes, a gaming podcast. I've been Cassie Mann.
I've been Spencer McPhee.
And we are excited about the Switch 2.
Yeah.
If you are listening to this on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever else you listen to your podcasts, or watching it on YouTube, hi. Hey. Thanks for doing this. Make sure to give it a little like or a rating or all those things.
Rate us 5 stars.
Rate us 5 stars. That's what you do.
Leave a review, please and thank you.
Yeah, say we're really cute.
And when you when you leave the review, glaze us like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah.
Please, no amount of glazing is too much. Thank you so much in advance for that.
And special thank you to everyone who hangs out with us live. You guys
are real gamers.
The real gamers. Not that the other people aren't real gamers.
No, they're not real gamers.
Oh.
Everyone here live, real gamers. Capital G gamers.
Capital G gamers.
Everyone else, lowercase g.
Okay. Well, still gamers, at least. We love everybody that pays attention to us, but
Cassie
especially
does, I don't.
our... Okay. Look.
I love you so much more if you're here live.
Yeah. No, let's be real. You're so much cooler if you're watching us live on twitch.tv/just_Kiashi. That's where we do it.
So if you're not listening live, then that means we'll see you next time.
Yeah.
Live.
Right? Live. Exactly, because you want to be a capital G gamer.
You gotta be a capital G gamer.
Gotta be a capital G. Cap G.
Cap G game.
Cap G game. But capital G gamers, we're gonna hang out for the post show, and then Spencer's gonna go home, and then apparently we're gonna play some Fortnite later. It is almost 7 o'clock now, though, so maybe it'll be a little bit later, but we'll do something. Thank you again for listening.
We'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.